Ever thought beauty could mean pain or even danger? Throughout history, people have followed shocking trends, from altering their bodies to risking their health, all in the name of looking good. Some went to extremes, embracing blackened teeth, impossibly tiny waists, and even deadly beauty rituals. What made these trends so desirable? The truth might surprise you. Black teeth. In Japan, having black teeth was once a sign of beauty, status, and even good health. Known as ohaguro, this tradition involved dyeing teeth black using a special solution made from iron filings, vinegar, and tannins. It may sound strange today, but for centuries, blackened teeth were seen as elegant and refined. Originally, young boys and girls around the age of 15 dyed their teeth to mark adulthood. Over time, it became a daily practice for aristocrats, noblewomen, and even geisha. During the Edo period, married women and high-ranking courtesans embraced it as a symbol of maturity and attractiveness. Some even believed it helped protect teeth from decay. However, the tradition started fading in the late 1800s when Empress Shokan appeared with white teeth. By the early 1900s, ohaguro had nearly vanished, surviving only in a few rural areas among elderly women. The bigger the forehead, the more beautiful. In the Middle Ages, beauty standards took a bizarre turn. Women wanted larger foreheads. A high forehead was linked to purity and innocence, so women went to extreme lengths to achieve this look. They plucked their hairlines, removed their eyebrows, and even got rid of their eyelashes just to make their foreheads appear bigger. Queen Elizabeth played a huge role in popularizing this trend. Women of her time followed her lead, using walnut oil and even bandages soaked in ammonia and vinegar to strip away unwanted hair. Instead of shaping or darkening their eyebrows, they completely erased them. This look, which might seem unusual today, was the height of elegance back then. Women endured painful hair removal just to match the ideal of the time, because in that era, the bigger the forehead, the better. Tiny feet meant high status. For nearly 1,000 years, having small, deformed feet was considered the height of beauty in China. This painful tradition, known as foot binding, began around the 10th century and forced young girls to endure years of tight bandages to shrink their feet. The goal? To create lotus feet, tiny arched feet no longer than 4 inches. It's believed that the trend started when Emperor Li Yu admired the delicate crescent-shaped feet of his concubine Yao Niang. Soon, elite women followed and bound feet became a status symbol. The smaller the feet, the more desirable a woman was considered. By the 19th century, nearly half of all Chinese women had bound feet, and among the upper class, it was almost universal. Though foot binding was officially banned in 1912, its impact lingered for decades. The last factory producing tiny lotus shoes didn't close until 1999. The longer the nails, the richer the person. In ancient China, long nails weren't just for style. They were a symbol of wealth and status. The elite grew their nails as long as possible to show that they never had to work with their hands. The longer the nails, the more servants they had to help them with even the simplest tasks. This trend peaked during the Qing dynasty, with Empress Dowager Cixi being one of the most famous examples. Her nails grew up to 8 inches long, and she protected them with gem-covered nail guards decorated with symbols of luck and wealth. Maintaining them was no small feat. She reportedly spent over 10,000 taels of silver each year just on nail care. Though the extreme lengths have faded, some still grow their pinky nails today, believing they bring prosperity. What was once a beauty trend is now a superstition that refuses to die. The corset. Beauty or a breath-stealing trap? For centuries, corsets shaped women's bodies and their lives. Originally worn as early as 1600 BCE, these tight-fitting garments became essential in Europe, especially during the 17th century Renaissance. By the 16th century, figures like Catherine de' Medici made them a court requirement, forcing women to squeeze into unnaturally tiny waists to match the beauty standards of the time. The Victorian era took this obsession even further. Corsets were laced so tightly that women fainted, struggled to breathe, and even deformed their ribs, all for the perfect hourglass shape. Characters like Scarlett O'Hara in Gone with the Wind made the corset look glamorous. But in reality, it was a tool of both beauty and restriction. Over time, the corset became a symbol of both femininity and oppression, sparking debates about body image and women's autonomy. While modern fashion has moved on, its influence on shaping the ideal body still lingers. Beauty at the cost of health? In the Victorian era, tuberculosis wasn't just a deadly disease, it became a beauty trend. Women sought to emulate the sickly cheek look, which included pale skin, thinness, and a feverish glow. The disease's symptoms, like flushed cheeks and red lips, were romanticized as signs of delicate beauty. To achieve this look, women went to extreme lengths. Makeup was used to create a ghostly pallor, with rouge applied to the cheeks and lips to mimic the sick appearance. Some even ingested arsenic wafers or used toxic skin lighteners, hoping for a porcelain-like complexion. Corsets further emphasized the ultra-thin figure associated with tuberculosis, though they caused serious harm to the body. This trend wasn't just limited to the Victorian era. Queen Elizabeth II's pale skin set the stage, and women even went as far as bloodletting to mimic her appearance. This fascination with the tuberculosis look became part of a dangerous myth that celebrated beauty over health. Sweat as a beauty secret? In ancient Rome, beauty treatments took some unexpected turns. Women sought to slather their faces with gladiator sweat. This bizarre trend was based on the belief that the sweat and grime of athletes carried vitality, strength, and beauty. Wealthy Roman women bought vials of sweat scraped from the bodies of gladiators and athletes, hoping to absorb their power and allure. The sweat was collected using a tool called a strigil, which athletes used to scrape off sweat, dirt, and oil after exercising. This grime, known as gloios, was so prized that women would even collect it from gym walls where athletes had rested. Even Cleopatra got in on the action. Known for experimenting with unconventional beauty regimens that sometimes included animal byproducts. This odd obsession with sweat was just one of many ancient beauty secrets tied to status, strength, and vitality. Bloodletting. For over 3,000 years, bloodletting was a widespread practice, rooted in the belief that removing blood could cleanse the body of harmful fluids. It began in ancient Egypt and over time spread across civilizations like the Greeks, Romans, Arabs, and Asians, eventually becoming common in Europe during the Middle Ages and Renaissance. Doctors would drain large amounts of blood, often up to 20 ounces, until the patient lost consciousness, thinking it would restore balance in the body. The theory behind bloodletting stemmed from the idea that illnesses were caused by imbalances in bodily fluids, like excess phlegm or black bile. In the 17th century, bloodletting went beyond treating illness. It was used as a preventive measure. The trend even reached the aristocracy, with wealthy women in the 6th century using it to achieve an extremely pale complexion. Queen Elizabeth I was often associated with this practice, but bloodletting's roots reach much farther back into ancient history.